Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here on Thursday, December 26th. Hopefully everybody is having a wonderful holiday season. Merry Christmas to all those who celebrate. Happy holidays to everyone else out there. Look, y'all might have had a Christmas list. Maybe you're fulfilling wish lists for your children during the holiday season. Right now we have got a free agent list. And I'm running through all the unrestricted free agent wide receivers, every single one of them. Their name will be brought up here today. Looking for the Jacksonville Jaguars' next outside starting receiver. And we talk about this because Brian Thomas Jr. is obviously the Jaguars' future receiver on the outside. But guess what? You need two good outside receivers in this league. The Jaguars don't currently have that. Yes, they have Christian Kirk, a slot receiver. Will he be on the roster next year? Seems unlikely. Evan Ingram, also essentially a move tight end / slot receiver. Will he be on the roster next year? Up in the air. Both of those guys would save the team a lot of money, salary cap wise, if they wanted to move on. Now, Gabe Davis, in all likelihood, will be on the team because nobody's trading for his contract. And releasing him makes zero financial sense. Just because he is on the roster and just because he did cost a pretty penny does not mean you should fall into the sunk cost fallacy and not try to improve that position. Now you can try to improve it long-term through the draft, certainly. You could say, we're going to attack everything else and then go get a receiver at the top of the draft as well. You could do it that way. I think the Jaguars should be signing a starting caliber wide receiver in free agency. Outside receiver. So we're going to dive into these guys. And this is all potential free agents, guys whose contracts are up after the 2024 campaign. Many of them could get re-signed before the start of free agency, so we don't really know how it's all going to play out. But we're just taking a look here, right? Really appreciate y'all being here once again. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Leave your thoughts about what you think the Jaguars should do at the wide receiver position in the comment section below. But look, the Jags, they have never given Trevor Lawrence multiple quality outside receivers during his career. They haven't done it. In a single season, he hasn't had two good outside receivers to throw to. I think probably the best thing you could point at maybe has been Marvin Jones and Zay Jones. Not great. Not great. So Stefan Diggs is the current highest paid receiver set to hit free agency. Diggs is an interesting case because he's up there in age. He's obviously had some thoughts about different places he's been. Minnesota, Houston, obviously Buffalo. Not always the happiest camper, it seems like. And up there in age. Would he be an upgrade? Yeah, hell yeah. I don't know if the juice will be worth the squeeze there. It could be. Because, I mean, he's still supremely talented. Still a very good football player. Playing opposite Brian Thomas Jr., moving into the slot here and there. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be against it. T. Higgins is the one that everybody's talking about. Everybody's excited about. Will the Bengals give him a new contract? How are they going to play that one out? He's only about to be 26 years old. And he played with Trevor Lawrence in college. They scored a lot of touchdowns for the Clemson Tigers together. And he's kind of the prototype for what a lot of people want for Trevor Lawrence. A big-bodied, physical receiver who can go up and get contested balls, 50-50 balls, possession type of guy, can use his body, his physicality on slants, comebacks, also get down the field like T. Higgins can. Yeah, I mean, that would be the dream. T. Higgins and Brian Thomas Jr. catching passes from Trevor Lawrence would be amazing. And the Jags have plenty of cap space. I mean, they can, especially if they move on from Christian Kirk, they'd be sitting probably close to $60 million at least in cap space. We don't know the official number for the 2025 cap, but it's going to go up. So according to overthecap.com right now, they have like $46 million in 2025 cap space. Move on from Kirk, 56. If there's any rollover cap that's not included there, And then there's other subsequent moves they could make as well to improve their cap situation. But T. Higgins would be easy if he's available. Yes, they should go after him. Kenan Allen would be, so he's older than Christian Kirk, right? But I do think he would be an upgrade as a slot receiver over Christian Kirk. But he's going to be 33 years old. I don't know that that's the direction you want to go. Generally in free agency, you like to get someone that is on the right side of 30. Those types of contracts have better chances of working out well long term. But Kenan Allen, I mean, yeah, he'd be a nice, reliable target. Has dealt with plenty of injuries throughout his career, but has been one of the more underrated and consistent guys, but as a slot receiver. Amari Cooper, I think, is a real interesting one. 30 years old. Will turn 31 next year. I still think he is a great separator, great route runner, very good hands overall. Him playing opposite Brian Thomas Jr., I think you'd have two guys that can both get down the field. Amari Cooper can be a possession type receiver as well. Gives you a lot of versatility, a lot of talent on the outside, more than Trevor Lawrence has seen by a wide margin. Of the four guys we've talked about, I think in their prime, Amari Cooper may be the most talented, but they're all really good. But T. Higgins is the only one who's actually entering his prime at 26 years old, about to be. Chris Godwin's another interesting one. He's played a lot of slot receiver in his career, but he's also played outside at a very high level. He's coming off of an ankle injury that ended his season, a dislocated ankle. Is Tampa Bay going to let him go? They've done a good job about keeping their top guys. I know they would like to keep him there. 28, soon to be 29 years old. A guy who has a lot of versatility, a lot of talent. Still plenty of juice left in the tank, in my opinion. Chris Godwin would be very interesting, and that leads us to Brandon Cooks, who's 31 years old. For some reason, it just feels like there's not a lot of excitement about Brandon Cooks. I think he would be better than what you've seen here in Jacksonville, but not a big body, up there in age, not quite as fast as he used to be, not quite as explosive, but still a good football player. Deontay Johnson, a malcontent type of guy. Panthers dished him out just not long after acquiring him, and then he goes to Baltimore. They get rid of him. Houston now. I don't think Deontay Johnson is going to... I mean, maybe if he has an attitude adjustment and you can figure out what's going on up there, but at this point, that's not the direction I'd be looking. DeAndre Hopkins, if the Kansas City Chiefs allow him to hit free agency, even at 32 years old, I would be very interested in that as a possession receiver, someone who can get open, who can fight through contact. Of the older guys, 31, 32 plus years old, I would say D-Hop would be my top guy there. 30 plus year olds, I'd probably say Amari Cooper. But, the 31, 32-year-old club, I'd be looking at D-Hop. Mike Williams, he's dealt with a lot of injuries. He obviously has that type of game where it's the big-bodied possession receiver can go up and get it in contested situations. I wouldn't necessarily be against a flyer, but I don't think that that's the best path. Robert Woods, 32 years old, soon to be 33. I don't really necessarily see that being an upgrade over Christian Kirk. If you were going to go that direction, I don't think he's going to command a lot of money. Hollywood Brown's an interesting one. Missed most of the season. He's an incredibly explosive athlete. He's 27 and a half years old. Should be in the prime of his career, but he has dealt with injuries. You just haven't seen much of him this year. But I would not be mad if Marquise Brown was in Jacksonville next year. Darius Slayton, not really a true number, I shouldn't say number one because Brian Thomas Jr. is the number one, but not a true starter, probably more of a third receiving option. KJ Osborne, same thing, third, fourth receiving option. Demarcus Robinson has that length, some athleticism, but he's now 30 years old. Crazy that he's already past the 30-year-old mark. I remember him catching passes at Florida. But yeah, he's not a real starter. Nelson Aguilar is not a real starter. Ashton Doolin, no. DJ Chark, obviously, probably not coming back to Jacksonville. But also, the injuries have just kind of really set his career back. Not been the guy that you would have hoped for, and he's got skill, but Mac Hollins, not a real starter. Tyler Boyd, more of a slot receiver. Zach Pascal, no. Zay Jones, probably not bringing back. Elijah Moore could be interesting. He's only 24 years old, and it seems like things just have not gone well for him. But I had a clear round 1 grade on him coming in. It looked like he was going to be that type of player. Has not worked out, really. Braxton Berrios, slot receiver. Nick Westbrook, not a true starter. Brandon Powell, Trent Sherfield, Rondell Moore. Moore you could take a swing on, but I think we've kind of seen what he is there. Justin Watson, he's just a speedster. I know he had a pretty good game yesterday, but I doubt that he would be able to come in and really make you feel good about that. Chris Conley up there, and Jaguars have been through that before. Tutu Atwell, not a real starter. Sims, not a real starter. Crowder, slot receiver up there in age. Gunnar Olszewski, more of a special teams guy. Scotty Miller, slot receiver. Deontay Hardy, not a starter. Van Jefferson, not a starter. Kadero Hodge, not a starter. Zacchaeus. Josh Palmer's interesting. I don't think that he should really be viewed as this like big time starter, but if you're going after an option that could provide some size, some consistency, I think Josh Palmer might be able to do that for you at 25 years old a little bit. And then you go attack receiver early in the draft as well. De'Ami Brown, speedster. Hasn't really had a big breakout yet. Noah Brown, we've seen him quite a bit. Juju is a slot receiver. DeAndre Carter, more of that slot return type. Tyler Johnson, hasn't really worked out for him yet. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, just a deep ball merchant who is inconsistent. David Moore, probably not a starter. I mean, he's made some plays in the league. I think he scored a touchdown this past week. But Mecole Hardman, don't need that headache in my opinion. Greg Dortch, that's a pretty good receiver. But is he moving the needle as a starter for you? No. Malik Taylor, no. Simba Webster, no. I mean, that's it. Those are the undrafted or unrestricted free agents. There's a couple more. Simi Fehoko, Tylan Wallace, Juwan Winfrey. So you get my point there going through that list. There's not a ton of guys, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, probably close to 10 guys who should be starters somewhere next year. How many of those guys actually hit free agency? How many of those guys really move the needle for you? I think Stefan Diggs would move the needle. T. Higgins, obviously. Kenan Allen, a little bit of an upgrade, but up there in age again. Not the greatest athlete, but certainly a very, very good receiver. Amari Cooper, I think, would be big. So Diggs, Higgins, Cooper would be big. I think Godwin would be big if healthy. D-Hop, I think, would be a really nice addition. Marquise Brown would be an interesting speculative add. Elijah Moore, very speculative at this point. So that's kind of what we're looking at. That's what we're working with in free agency. I think the Jaguars should be in on one of these guys. I know they spent a lot of money on Gabe Davis. I know they drafted Brian Thomas Jr. in the first round this past year. I know they've got the Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram situations. But if you want to compete at the highest level, you need multiple outside guys, in my opinion. Or you need an offense that can really utilize these skill sets a lot better than what we've seen in the last year and a half. Really, the last 2 years. So for me, it'd be Diggs, Higgins, Cooper. Those would be my top guys. Godwin and Hopkins as well. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Y'all have a good one.